Hello and welcome to the Gridiron Waiver Wire report for week 8 of the NFL season. And I've been saying this every week, but I still promise you, unless, like me in one league, you're 0-7, your season is still going. It is still here. It is still worth getting involved in waivers. So I'm delighted to say that joining me will Gavin from Fake Teams, Pete Rogers, to bring us the top pickups for this week. Pete, another stunningly successful weekend for you, I assume.
Oh, of course, naturally. And even like you say, Will, even if you are not in the contention for your fantasy league, still be active, still go attack the waiver wire so that you can steal those players away from people maybe who need them.
I will absolutely at 0-7 be going and taking the very best player available.
Exactly.
Just to make sure that a potential contender can't take them, because what's more fun than screwing over your friends?
That is the whole point of fantasy sports.
There we go. Perfect. With that in mind, let's get into our top 5 for this week. And the first one comes with a semi-caveat because there's a possibility of injury there, as a minor injury to Carlos Hyde of the Seahawks. But, a backfield that's suffering injuries again. Chris Carson goes down and it's very much next man up. They may not have reacted to his touchdown properly on commentary this weekend, but we reacted to it by putting him in our waiver wire report.
Yeah. So with Chris Carson expected to miss some time, and that's something to monitor because we don't know exactly how much time. It could be that he's ready to play week 8. But if Chris Carson misses week 8, Carlos Hyde is the running back who will step in to the bulk of the Seahawks workload. And like you said, Will, again, this is a monitor situation. Carlos Hyde is dealing with a tight hamstring. Chris Carson might be able to play week 8. However, certainly worth monitoring and certainly worth just stashing on your waiver wire because if Chris Carson does miss time, if something down the road keeps him out, Carlos Hyde will be that back who steps in for the Seahawks backfield.
Now, we've got a group of wide receivers coming up from 2 through 4, and 2 of them come out of the NFC East. So we're in week 8 of the waiver wire when that's the case. Let's start off by talking about Sterling Shepard of the Giants.
Sterling Shepard spent most of the year dealing with turf toe, but now we saw him back Thursday night and immediately led the Giants in targets and catches. He caught 6 of his 8 targets for 59 yards and a touchdown. And looks like you're adding the Giants' number 1 wide receiver in week 8, which anytime you can get a number 1 receiver in an offense this late in the season, that's what something you have to go do and add that to your waiver wire. He makes this offense look a lot better. He makes the passing game look a lot better. So as long as he can stay healthy, Sterling Sharp has, I think, wide receiver 2 floor in fantasy. So is certainly a priority off waivers.
Yeah, and always been a bit of a PPR monster as well, Sterling Shepard, for that reason. So if you're playing half point or PPR, he just sees loads of targets, loads of catches. Even if you're not getting him on the deep ball and getting those kind of big touchdown numbers, he still tends to put up consistent fantasy for you. Rashad Higgins of the Browns. Odell Beckham went down this week, which is a big part of that. But it's not only that you've got an injury to the number 1 receiver, but it felt like the moment Odell Beckham went down, the offense just seemed to click across the board this week.
It's going to be interesting to see what this Browns offense looks like without Odell. And the kind of comparison that I've been making that I like to make is with Sean McVay losing Todd Gurley and now being able to run this backfield how he wants in LA. And we might see something similar with Cleveland, where Odell Beckham is no longer there, no longer going to get the target priorities. And we might see Baker Mayfield spread this ball around a lot more. Rashad Higgins stepped in for Odell, caught 6 of his 6 targets for 100 plus yards, 110 yards, I believe. And so this offense is going to be throwing the ball to stay in games. Their defense is spotty. And if Higgins steps into that true X receiver role, he's going to be, in for a solid and reliable workload moving forward.
Now, I said 2 NFC East wide receivers earlier, and maybe we can edit both of these mentions out, because what I meant was a former NFC East wide receiver who I've had in fantasy before and has burnt me a little bit. And yet Nelson Aguilar out in Las Vegas is suddenly turning up and balling.
He is low-key, but you said it. In recent weeks, he has scored a touchdown and gone for at least 40 yards in each of his last 3 games. And I know he's been kind of a punchline throughout his career, but yeah, things are working well for him out in Las Vegas. He's coming off of his best game. He caught 5 of his 9 targets for 107 yards and a touchdown against the Buccaneers, which is one of the best defenses in the NFL right now. So nothing to scoff at. And the Raiders have a really nice matchup against the Browns, who we just talked about in week 8, which is going to be a pass heavy affair. Even with Henry Ruggs coming back into this rotation, I trust Nelson Aguilar to continue to give you solid, reliable fantasy performance moving forward.
Now, if there's one position group from one team we've talked about more than any other this year, it is Kyle Shanahan running backs, to the point where for our number one this week, I'm going to doff the hat and we're going to be talking about Tevin Coleman, who should be back off IR this week. And even if he's not back off IR this week, he's worth getting now rather than waiting till next week when everyone's going to be wise to it.
I'm telling you, Kyle Shanahan could call me up, say, Pete, would you be our running back for this week? And somehow me would manage to run for 50 yards in this offense. This offense is truly incredible. Kyle Shanahan, no matter who he has back there, schemes plenty of space for these backs to hit. And we know he loves Tevin Coleman. He loves him from his time with the Falcons. He brought him to San Francisco specifically for a reason. And he's the only healthy back that they have coming off of IR. We know that there's there's Jerick McKinnon as well as Jermichael
Hasty.
Oh God, there's Hasty. Yeah. There's so many backs that I have to remember and learn this. Goodness gracious. With Tevin Coleman still on IR and technically able to come up this week, it is a risky play, but the payout could be huge because if he sees any reliable workload against the Seahawks, he has a chance to put up RB1 numbers this week. And moving forward, as this backfield continues to just get damaged over and over and over again with injuries.
Yeah, to be clear, as we're speaking on Tuesday, ahead of the waiver wire, Kyle Shanahan's done his press conference today and said that he hopes and maybe expects Tevin Coleman to be off IR this week. So, hey, listening to us, you've got that little bit extra nugget of information and you can go out and make sure you pick him up this week. If you're in deeper leagues, if you need a deeper dive, I know that Pete does some 1-to-10s and some more researched and deep than we can achieve on a short YouTube video. So head over to Fake Teams, head over to Pete M. Rogers on Twitter and find the good stuff, Pete.
Yes, sir. Yes. Got top 10 waiver ads as well as some fab budget who you should be allocating your budget to make sure you're re-adding. And yeah, on Twitter at our Pete M. Rogers.
A British man in a baseball cap, not to mention a ginger in a red hat. Both look terrible. So I'm going to take that off.
Great.
As we sign off, thank you for listening and for watching. Make sure you check out our weekly podcast as well, The Gridiron Show, breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly from the NFL, including our weekly chat with Ravens Super Bowl winning head coach Brian Billick, and all the fine work the guys do on social at UK Gridiron on Instagram and at Gridiron on Twitter. Like, subscribe, ring the little bell to make sure you get notifications when these videos come out. Because if you miss them, by Wednesday morning, you might have missed out. And then you're going to be having some serious regret, some waiver wire regrets. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. This has been the Gridiron Waiver Wire Report.